Next category is homelessness and affordable housing. We use people first language and address this particular category as people experiencing homelessness or unhoused or unsheltered populations. The question coming from Ray Ellen Smith is, given the extreme housing shortage and the rise in the median home price, what options do you propose for low-income housing for our Albuquerque residents, and what solutions would you propose for supporting unhoused citizens? We'll start with candidate Keller.
Well, thank you for that question, and I think there's some connection between these in a sense that I just want to note what we heard before about relationships with consulates. I mean, there's one consulate here, the Mexican consulate, and we all work with them quite a bit. What is not productive for immigration or refugees is to sit with Trump and talk about how to round up immigrants. So I think it's similar when we hear about ideas around homelessness that somehow seem to be pointing to some sort of enforcement of various ordinances as some sort of solution to homelessness. These people are unsheltered because they need help. And the reality is Albuquerque has massive holes in our system. We are in a situation right now where on a 24/7 hour basis, there is nowhere where folks can go to get any kind of help, whether it's a bed or whether it's a meal. They can during the week, but not on the weekends and at night. That's why we opened the West Side Homeless Shelter 24/7. It is full because homelessness is rising all over the country. So the question is, what do we do about it? The answer is every candidate should support the Gateway Center and doing what we're trying to do at Loveless, the old Loveless on Gibson, because that's the clearinghouse. You are able to go there and have a bed, have a shower, have food, and then get sorted out to addiction and treatment, get a housing voucher, get supportive housing. That's what we need to fill the gap in the system. Because we actually have built hundreds of new units of supportive housing, and we have in the queue hundreds more of supportive and affordable housing. We've actually done a pretty good job in this. We just have to connect it to the folks who are out there. But remember this, when I came in, we had about 2,000 people unsheltered on our streets. Now we have 5,000. So we have to deal with this issue head on. This is not about a pilot program or any kind of enforcement issue. We actually have to get these people the help that they need. And that's why I support an all-the-above approach, and the only way we can do that is we have a place where they can get that help. And that's what the Gateway Center is all about.
Candidate Gonzalez.
So the mayor just stated over the last 4 years under his watch, we've increased homelessness by over 2.5 times because of the policies that he's created. I sit on the President's Commission for Law Enforcement and the Administration of Justice, and I worked with the working group in 3 areas. One was homelessness, one was on substance abuse, and the other one was mental illness. And so these aren't people that are homeless. These are people in crisis. We need to start treating them like human beings and part of this community. And if they're not from this community, we need to figure out how to reconnect them and act humane and not let them live in our streets and become addicted to drugs, driving crime, and getting either them back to their families and or their communities. We need to have a thorough screening process that includes social workers, behavioral health, public health, to work alongside with law enforcement. This isn't a law enforcement issue, but you can't divorce yourself from the problem. You have to collaborate and solve issues as a community. We have to tailor a strategic plan for Albuquerque. And I don't believe the facility at Loveless is the place. They've colonized homeless, or I should say people in crisis here. What we want to do is build an advocacy center where we can build success. These people need access to treatment, wraparound services, and a lot of other services, and not leaving them out in the streets. Basically, at this point, these people have not been served, they've been neglected, and somebody needs to be held accountable for that. And I don't think there's nobody more accountable than the mayor.
Candidate Aragon.
Yeah, for a guy who doesn't like Donald Trump very much, our mayor has become quite the real estate developer as of late. $15.5 million to the Gateway Center, I have to tell you, is a complete and total waste of time with some of the richest guys here amongst us. Our planning and development needs to be completely and totally streamlined. We have to acquire land, we have to build neighborhoods. Everything's built in Belen, Los Lunas, or Rio Rancho. Affordable housing is non-existent. Small business the same way for industrial development. And I got to tell you, moving that and admitting failure by moving 2K to 5K, 5,000 people that are now homeless, I'm surprised that Mayor Keller has admitted that level of failure here in our city without anything to do in solving the problem. Building tiny houses with 8 out of 40 being occupied at a cost of nearly $900 a square foot. No real estate guy. Someone's making money somewhere on that. And I think it's very vital for us to look at that and say we aren't going to be building tiny houses either. The homeless problem is something that we can take care of, we can handle. I already gave you the 4 different categories. 3 of those are the ones that the 4th category preys upon. And there's a criminal element of homelessness that does not want to go and not be homeless. They want to continue to be homeless and prey upon the mental, the people who are mentally debilitated, the people who are drug addicted. This is really important, and the economic insufficiency. We have to determine the best care on a case-by-case basis. Diane Gibson, I can't believe I'm quoting her, she's the exiting city councilor, but she had a great idea. Homeless encampments where we can control, track, help, and manage these people on a case-by-case basis as our clients, so we can help them find their forever homes. Sheriff Gonzalez is right. We treat, we don't treat our homeless people good enough. For the amount of money that we spend, and I will say $20 million on that, we shouldn't be trying to audit, we shouldn't be trying to compete, as Mayor Keller has certainly done during his administration. This is a broader, bigger issue. I'd like more questions on this. We have a pretty comprehensive plan that you can see at fightfor505.com. Thank you.